Snow fell gently outside the little town of Maplewood, painting the streets in white and laying a blanket of silence over everything. It was Christmas night, a time when most families were gathered together near fireplaces, sharing laughter, exchanging gifts, and making memories. Inside one cozy home at the end of Birch Lane, the Mitchell family was finishing up their Christmas dinner. The scent of roasted turkey and cinnamon pie lingered in the air, mixing with the faint smell of pine needles from the Christmas tree in the corner of the living room. Emma Mitchell had spent the entire day preparing the house for family. She had been up since dawn, baking pies, wrapping last-minute gifts, and making sure the house looked like something out of a holiday magazine. She was exhausted, but a good kind of exhausted, the kind that comes with love and tradition. Her husband, Daniel, had helped string the lights outside earlier that morning, even though his hands had turned red from the cold. Their teenage son, Ryan, had reluctantly joined them, rolling his eyes but secretly smiling whenever he thought no one was watching. By the time the extended family had arrived, Emma's sister, her parents, and a few close friends, the house was alive with chatter. Stories were told, presents were exchanged, and the soft glow of the fireplace made everything feel warmer than it was outside. But as the evening stretched on and family members began leaving one by one, the house grew quieter until only Emma, Daniel, and Ryan remained. It was around 9 o'clock when Emma noticed Daniel slipping on his coat. She frowned. "Where are you going?" "It's Christmas night," she asked, her voice carrying both surprise and a hint of disappointment. Daniel gave her a small smile. "I just promised Mr. Hawkins down the street I'd help him for a few minutes. He's having trouble with his old generator. Don't worry, I won't be long." Emma sighed, her heart tugging with that familiar feeling she often had. Daniel was kind and dependable, not just to his family, but to everyone around him. She loved that about him, but sometimes she wished he would keep more of his time for them. Ryan, already sprawled on the couch with a blanket over him, shrugged. "Mom, he'll be fine. Don't worry." Emma nodded, kissed Daniel on the cheek, and watched him walk out into the snowy night. She turned back to the half-lit living room. The Christmas tree twinkled softly, casting gentle shadows on the walls. For the first time that day, Emma sat down and let herself breathe. The exhaustion from cooking and hosting finally caught up with her, and she leaned back, closing her eyes. She must have dozed off, because the next thing she knew, she felt a gentle nudge on her shoulder. Startled, her eyes flew open. Standing in front of her was Ryan, his eyes wide with a mixture of worry and tenderness. "Mom," he said softly, "you fell asleep. I didn't want you to be uncomfortable." Emma blinked, disoriented for a moment, then smiled. "Oh, honey, thank you." She noticed he had draped an extra blanket over her. It wasn't much, just a small act, a simple nudge to wake her, but something about that moment made her heart swell. Christmas had always been about giving, about traditions and gifts, but in that tiny gesture, she realized something bigger. Her son, who often seemed distant and distracted, was growing into a thoughtful young man. She reached up and squeezed his hand. "I'm proud of you, Ryan." He looked down, a little embarrassed, but there was a flicker of pride in his eyes. "It's nothing, Mom." But it wasn't nothing. That nudge, that small act of care, sparked something deep inside Emma. It was as though she suddenly saw her family, her life, in sharper detail than before. When Daniel returned an hour later, shaking off the snow from his coat, he found Emma and Ryan sitting on the couch together, talking quietly. Daniel smiled, warmed by the sight, though he didn't yet understand how much that night had changed things for Emma. The days after Christmas passed as they usually did, with decorations slowly coming down and life returning to its ordinary rhythm. But Emma carried that moment with her. She began noticing more of the little things her family did. The way Daniel always made sure the driveway was shoveled before she woke up. The way Ryan started taking out the trash without being asked. The way they both, in their quiet ways, showed her love. Still, something inside her felt restless. She couldn't shake the thought that life was moving quickly, that she had been so busy keeping traditions alive that she sometimes missed the deeper connections forming right in front of her. That nudge on Christmas night had been a reminder that love wasn't always grand or dramatic. it was often in the smallest acts. Weeks turned into months, and Emma began changing how she approached her days. Instead of rushing through chores, she slowed down to sit with Daniel in the evenings, asking him about his work and listening with genuine curiosity. She started baking with Ryan on weekends, letting him pick recipes, laughing together when things went wrong. It wasn't always perfect. There were still arguments, still long days when everyone was too tired to talk. But now, Emma paid attention to the nudges, the subtle signs that her family loved her, even when they didn't say it outright. The following Christmas arrived faster than anyone expected. Once again, the house was filled with the smell of cinnamon and pine, with laughter and the sound of wrapping paper being torn open. But this time, Emma wasn't exhausted in the same way. She had learned to share the load, letting Ryan and Daniel help more, allowing herself to enjoy the process instead of just the end result. Late that night, after everyone had gone home, Emma sat on the couch again, watching the twinkling lights of the tree. She thought back to the previous Christmas, to the gentle nudge that had woken her and changed her perspective. Smiling, she looked over at Ryan, now taller and more mature, helping his dad put logs on the fire. Daniel caught her gaze and walked over, sitting beside her. "What's on your mind?" he asked softly. Emma leaned her head on his shoulder. "Just how much I love you both. How much things have changed since last Christmas." Daniel smiled and kissed her forehead. "For the better, I hope." She nodded. "Definitely for the better." Ryan, pretending not to hear, rolled his eyes but couldn't hide his grin. And in that moment, surrounded by warmth, Emma realized that life didn't change all at once. It wasn't about big events or dramatic gestures. Sometimes it changed because of a small nudge on a Christmas night,